Welcome to Creatives Grab Coffee, the podcast on the business of video production.
Creatives Grab Coffee is hosted by Dario, Nouri, and Kyrill Lazarov from Labs Productions. Our goal is to share knowledge and experiences from video production professionals around the world. Whether you're a freelancer looking to start your own business or a seasoned business owner aiming to scale your company, this is the show for you.
Join us as we develop a community of like-minded creatives looking to learn and help each other grow. Welcome to the business of video production. Welcome to Creatives Grab Coffee.
Before we get started with the show, let's go over today's sponsors.
Do you have a shoot in Toronto? Do you need crew or a strong production partner to help you with your project? Labs Productions is one of the top production companies in Toronto and your go-to video partner.
With our strong creative skills and extensive network, we can help you achieve your goal. Labs Productions is able to offer you production services, white label services, or finder fees for project handoffs.
Reach out to us on our website at labsproductions.com to learn more.
My name is Miran. Welcome to Canada Film Equipment. We are a boutique rental house based in Toronto. We are here to help you guys out with all production sizes. Feel free to contact us to get a quote if you are a production house and you're looking for lighting, camera packages, or lighting and grid fan packages. You can see our contact information in the link below. We are more than happy to help you guys out. Make sure you follow and subscribe to creativesgrabcoffee.com. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Matt. Welcome to Audio Process. We are a boutique audio company doing location sound, sound design, post-sound, ADR, Foley. We service equipment. We do all your audio needs here in Toronto. We got you covered. Come on down, audioprocess.ca. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and all of the other internet things to creativesgrabcoffee.com. They'll be waiting for you. I'll be waiting for you, and we're all going to have a real good time.
And now, let's begin the show. All right, so today on Creatives Grab Coffee, we got another CGC alum, Doug Darling from Tripwire Media. Welcome to the show again, man.
Great to be back. I miss you guys. We all look so different. Actually, I think I just have more gray on my beard. I'm trying to think of the first time we did it. Had I shaved my head yet? I think I had.
You had a hat on.
Were we in the pandemic? Yeah.
You had a hat on.
Then
yeah.
I had shaved my head then.
We always had hats on.
This is my youthful approach, so people don't see how little hair I now have.
Oh, trust me, on our end too, it's not good.
No, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me back, guys. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, I think it was it like a year or 2 years ago we had him on?
I think
it was a while back. I think it was season 2.
Yeah, I think it might have. Yeah, it was.
It was 2 years ago. Wow,
it was like 25 or episode 25 or 26 or something.
So time has flown.
We're on 70. This one I think is going to be 77 by the time it releases.
Yes.
By the time it's released,
wow.
Yeah.
Almost 50 episodes later.
Wow.
That's wild to think, honestly. But anyways, like for our viewers, tell us what's new. You know, like I know you've had a couple awesome projects come through over the last few years. We've collaborated a couple of times since then. Couple awards maybe as well, like the one in the background you see. Like, what's up with you?
Oh, that thing? No, it's been a bit of a ride. I think I don't know about you guys, but we've had some ups and downs post COVID. So we actually I think like a lot of video companies did well on the second half kind of COVID when people really budgets were being put towards online things and video focused things when getting in person wasn't a possibility. And then of course there was a little bit of a fallout from that. We actually had some clients going like, we're just diverting everything to in-person events. So we really started to see this kind of like unpredictable last couple of years. And so we've had some real busy times. We've had some really dead times. They've been unpredictable in terms of like seasonality, but we've also had some like really big projects that we've worked on, some that have gone really well, some that have been learning opportunities, if I can say nicely. And now we're just, we're really focused on strategy and really building kind of our operations to really take ourselves to the next level rather than, I don't know about you guys, but when you grow a company, you get to a certain size or just sitting with another colleague. It's like a lot of us get into this for the passion of the art, for the passion of making video, and we don't necessarily get into it for managing people or growing a business or having a real, business education and how to build all this structure and all these strategies. So that's something that I've had to learn over time, but now I'm becoming very intentional on. So it's balancing creative and strategy and trying to do the best of both.
Has your team grown from the last time we've spoken? Because I remember you were in the midst of adding more team members, and actually I think I remember back in 2022 or something, you're mentioning how you wanted to also expand to I think you were saying Toronto or something like that.
We've learned that like the size of a company or the success of a company isn't necessarily in the size or the amount of people. And I'm not even saying this myself, but a lot of people say in the agency world, especially, that is kind of an old school thought or a way of measuring things. So it's like, how many people do you have? And that's often the first question that I get. We actually haven't, I'm trying to remember where we were in 2022, but probably about the same people. We got as high as 15. We're at 13 now. We creeped down to 11 for a bit. And part of that is managing the inconsistency of short-term video work or contract work, right? Where, we don't, in our system, we don't get a lot of the equivalent of AOR contracts, like agency of record contracts, where we have 2 or 3 year contracts. A lot of our projects are, somewhat short term, and so we can have very, very busy seasons. But if we staff only based on that, last summer we ran into some problems where we were burning our money holding on to people. So trying to find that balance of who you want to keep internally at all costs, who you want to then maybe have more on a contract level, and then really then building the relationships that you're able to kind of execute on quickly when the work does come. So we've really been working on our network to that point of expanding across Canada and North America. We've worked really even with you guys, but also with people in other major markets, that when we have a shoot or a requirement for shooting, that we're able to have already vetted it. So we're not trying to find somebody and guess, hopefully they're as good as they say they are, but we can do everything from hire them out to do the project, say if it's a small little event where we have 1 or 2 people, we don't need to be there. Maybe it's something where we have a small crew, 3 or 4, 5 people, but we want a director or producer there to manage the quality as well as maybe the client, and we want consistency across where we're shooting in different markets. And sometimes just really big projects. We were just in Toronto, Colin was, on a very, very big commercial project that had about 30 people in a studio. And aside from our editor and our director, everyone else was staffed by a line producer. So that's the way that we kind of see it, is really building relationships. We made a map of where are all our capabilities, and in the States we don't have obviously every major market, but in the States people are able to travel between markets quite easily as well. So we have one guy in Denver who basically, if it's within an 8-hour drive, he's willing to go to, and that actually is a pretty big radius, right in the center. And then we have, several people in the South and in the East Coast as well. So that's kind of the way we see it. And we just need that confidence and competence to be able to scale that as needed. We're hiring primarily where we want to have full-time people, or grow full-time people, is going to be in project and account management, as well as then kind of writing and creative, in the sense of we want to make sure that people know our process. We have 2 full-time writers who do / directors who do everything from writing of scripts to the interviews and the building of story arcs for non-interview based, non-scripted based videos or interview based videos. So they need to know our process. They need to know our story flow. We don't want to just kind of bring in writers blindly into that. But even then, we have a couple of writers now that we're training up that are freelance that we can call when we just get too full. So long answer short is that we're really trying not to just add people so that it could kind of eat away when we have those slow seasons, but we want to be big enough to be able to take on this stuff when it comes quickly, because as you guys know, stuff just comes last minute all the time, and it's really nice when we're able to help when we want to.
And it always comes very
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kyrill.
I was just
That
gonna
was
say,
cute. You guys asked questions at the same time.
No, I was just gonna say that it always works out like that, where something comes up last minute, like always when you least expect it. Like when you're ready to go, that's when it's always seems to be the quietest. But once you don't expect it, that's when things kind of just pop up out of nowhere. And there's a big growing need for businesses to get a lot more lean. And like we've been talking about this over the years, where a lot of businesses need to be lean enough to be able to kind of like push through the slow times. But it's very true when you start seeing a lot of the bigger agencies start to adopt that same mantra. Because like you said, it was the old school way to seem big and very powerful as a business or as an agency. You needed to have a big team of people and manpower to really help execute upon clients' needs. But then you hear about a lot of the big agencies starting to kind of like scale back or merge with other agencies because like there's clearly not enough work going through. I feel like there's a big talent pool now of people that are flooding the market because of all these different mergers and agencies shutting down. So now there's going to be also a big pool of freelancers also there ready to work with not only the big guys, but also with smaller independent agencies and production companies. So now's the time to really kind of like really figure out who's like the key people in your team, foster that, and no need to kind of just throw everyone, like not everyone needs to have a full-time photographer or like 4 photographers on staff or something like that, or 4 video people on staff, because sometimes those guys also want to go out and work with other companies. And
it works both ways in a sense of, so if we had and I mean no ill will, because we actually had a full-time cinematographer. We have 3 people on the production side, so kind of video and assistant editing, so the shooters, and then we have this 20-year experienced cinematographer who was just so great. And of course, though, last year in summer we were incredibly slow, and that's part of it was the economy. We noticed that a lot of other companies, colleagues, or even kind of like similar organizations were in the same boat as us. So at least it didn't feel like it was just me messing up and really screwing up. But at the same time, we then started to see the slowness kind of coming at the summer. And we decided to work with our cinematographer and work on a way that we could actually bring him down to a freelance rate. So we're still working with him. It allows him to do other stuff because he loves doing movies. He even took a sabbatical at one point to work on a movie for 5 weeks. And for us also, it allows us then to have the flexibility to work with different artists as well. There's a lot of very large video production companies that are 8 to 12 people, and that's because they are hiring directors and their DOPs and all their key creative people based on the work that's needed. These are people that you couldn't afford anyways at a full-time basis, and most likely people who wouldn't want to work full-time for you. So it's kind of that benefit of also having more access to different creative minds as well. As long as you have then the ability to handle, there's a lot of day-to-day stuff. It's not all billable stuff too. When we have an office, we have gear, we have all these other things that do need to be taken care of on a day-to-day basis. You do want to have some internal people as well, and creative people too, because sometimes we get, hey, can we get a shooter? We have a lot of clients that will come have ongoing needs. Hey, can we get someone to shoot an event in 2 days? I'm really sorry, last minute. Great, let's look at our schedule. Great, Ethan, he's available. We can send him. So that is, trying to find that balance is always tricky. But yeah, it's just unpredictable. We just I keep using the comparison of last summer versus this summer. We're busier than we've been in many summers this summer, and a lot of it is just based on the type of work that you're doing. It's not like, hey, it's really predictable or there's some sort of global push in this sense, because it's just like, well, nope, there's these things that need to happen on the initiatives that our clients have that sometimes are annual, and a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are one-off, or a lot of them are special for whatever reason that may be. So the joys of not being able to see about 3 months in front of you. We're working on ways to structure out our sales process a lot better, to not be flying by the seat of our pants, or just like in that constant panic of, we're either too busy or we're not busy, and we're freaking out either way. So we're trying to get some more structure and balance to that, and then finding the right clients that we know have repeat business, the ones that don't take a lot of onboarding. We try to avoid smaller, like really small companies, as much as we'll work with them, but the onboarding takes a lot of time, and then often they only need one video, and then so you're spending just as much time as you would with, say, a much larger organization, and only to do one job. And then, we have dozens and dozens of jobs at some state of flux at any point. So if we would be doing that with each single client only one time, we would just kill ourselves doing it. So finding the right clients, the right fit, and defining who that is for us right now is where we're spending a lot of time.
And finding that balance is always, it always keeps changing, because you could find the balance for your current circumstance and you're good, but then you could either get more clients coming through in the next month or two or less clients, and then your balance is off kilter. So it's kind of like
Totally.
finding that balance that works in highs and lows.
Are you are you doing more cold outreach for sales? Or are you relying a lot on inbound?
A lot of our growth was basically referral and inbound, for the first 10 years. And then I think that partially was because there wasn't nearly as much competition. We had a real kind of like positioning in those last couple of years on storytelling. But we find that, or my guess is, at least in our market, that it has become rather saturated. So there's more competition than ever. There are a lot more freelancers. And then a lot of people are now hiring in-house. So whether that is agencies are actually bringing in video, or companies themselves are. And so we find that ebbs and flows a little bit. We find that, I don't know about you guys seeing this, we're seeing some companies are kind of letting go of their video production in-house, or and so then. Do
you know why?
But, I think it's because it depends. I think it's subjective. I think it's because they don't know necessarily how to manage it. It's like, if you go, we need to have in-house video. I have a marketing team, or a very small marketing team. I'm going to bring in video. Okay, well, we have to keep that person like justified. So we have to have them making enough content. We also have to be knowing the content enough to tell them what to make. And so we've worked with actually a lot of clients where they have in-house marketing, they have in-house video, and they can only get it to a certain point. Sometimes they're asking for help, or sometimes they're asking, we need to do the larger stuff, which is fine. Like, actually, people are very apologetic. They're like, we're really sorry, we do make some of our own content in-house. I'm like, absolutely, you totally should be. But when someone's maybe spending anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 on a salary, and they're going like, we're making web content and vlog content, like, in that case, then you might as well. I see a similarity to when websites really kind of started to blow up. Then a lot of companies started bringing in their web capabilities in-house, and then they realized maybe they don't have the right people doing that, or that it was an expense they didn't want, because they don't have to always be working on the website, depending on your company. So then I feel like web companies and digital marketing companies started to then grow again. In terms of, to answer your question on biz dev. I've the last few years I've had to do it more than ever to kind of keep things going. It's better that I have now a CRM and a structure to it, versus like I was pretty chaotic about it before. It was kind of like, what am I?
I just signed up for HubSpot the other day, so I can see the difference immediately, going from what I was doing before, which was chaos, utter chaos.
I have basically like a pipeline, and so actually I was doing a little bit of it today. Sometimes I get up really early in the morning because it's just like there's no distraction. I'm very easily distracted, so I will just hammer on like going through my lists, and it's and you're just sending out notes. And I think actually through some of our dead times, I noticed that that's actually probably when I'm not spending as much time on it. When I start to really put some efforts into it, that's when we start to see people just like, it's everything from like, hey, now is a good time to talk, or I'm glad you got in touch because actually I've been meaning to even just like sometimes we weren't really good at our own follow-ups. Like it would be like, great, let's talk about it, and you realize that you had then followed up with a meeting, or they missed the email about having that meeting, and then they forgot. So like just keeping the momentum going is another part of it. And when we have that system, I have a production coordinator who helps me with that and all that kind of stuff. It's obviously it's silly to even say that's to be like, wow, who knew, right? But like, obviously with much larger companies or companies that have a sales process, of course this is even just breaking the ice on what a lot of people do. I don't think I could do this all day every day. I don't like cold calling in general. I always say I don't like knocking on doors. I like walking through them. So I have to be, the other reason I think I do it in the morning is I'm kind of like in a good space. I'm a good energy. So that's where I'm kind of hammering on like, hey, you want to talk about, like, I just want to check in again and see if you want to talk a little bit about storytelling. And I see some opportunities maybe we talked about before. If after about an hour or two of that, I start to feel pretty low about myself, and it's just like, nobody wants to work with me.
You gotta put Glengarry, Glen Ross on the background.
Yeah. I get some steak knives. If unfortunately, I'm pretty much the only one on the team doing it, so I guess I get to either both get the steak knives and fire myself. But yeah, so like
in the mirror.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, sometimes it can be like, like the really good salespeople, a lot of my friends who are like, they're hunters, right? And I'm not necessarily, I'm a little too empathetic, and I take it a little personally because it's my own company. So sometimes I have to be in the right headspace, but we've actually just we're hiring someone who's helping with both the account management side, but also has some biz dev in her. And she's one of these people who has no problem going up to people, networking, contacting people. So getting the right people in the right positions, of course, really helps, because sales was never my strongest thing. I just ended up becoming that because it's a really good thing when you are the lead of your company. And I am very passionate about what we do. So I can be the right person.
Yeah, it comes through better.
Yeah. People like being contacted by a CEO rather than an account representative too sometimes.
It's more personal, right? Especially with our types of businesses. It's like when you're a small team, like if it's like, take our business for example. If it's Dario and I who are trying to do the business development, talking to new leads or clients, but instead it's like the client will know that we're a small business, but for some reason we have a secretary reaching out or something like that, or someone who's like an in-between that really doesn't need to be. It's like, why aren't you personally like reaching out, like they might be thinking, because it's not like a big corporation, like say a bank, where it's like you can't expect to be talking to the CEO about every little thing, right? Whereas with a smaller business, it's kind of like they're kind of coming to you for that more personal approach too. Trying to connect with a very specific creative team, behind these businesses. Maybe they might feel more comfortable. It's like with the CEO as well, or like the person running the business. It's like you basically have final say.
I don't think it's that complicated, Kyrill. I think it just depends on who's on the sales side pitching properly.
Maybe.
It also comes
I'm just
down
saying it could be like that.
No one's going to be able to sell your business better than you. That's
what I mean. So. That's what I mean. Like they will feel more of the passion through you personally. Yeah.
Now, the challenge, of course, with that is when you become the face of your organization and often the main point of contact and the relationship manager, it's very tough to scale. And if that is your goal, there's lots of very successful video companies who stay like 3 or 4 or 5 people. The leads and the owners are the key creative people, and they just keep raising the rates and do amazing work. Others who look to scale in terms of size or book of business, a challenge for me. And I've hit these milestones or these kind of these steps throughout where I have to be okay not being the face of everything, or not knowing what's going on, or not overseeing everything. And now I actually get to a point where I am trying to scale the business to add value to it by actually not being integral to the day-to-day, not being integral or the face of it, even though I have a lot of presence on LinkedIn and stuff like that. But like people, like I'm now very heavy in the sales process. But if I were really, really trying to build this for some sort of exit in a couple of years, which I'm not, I would be basically getting myself away from everything from a client-facing, as well as even operational. Because when someone looks at your company to go like, okay, if you pull Doug out of this, how quickly before it starts to lose money, and people look at that when they evaluate companies. So if you're, if this is your nest egg that you're building, if this is something that or you want to build to sell, then you have to consider that you can't do it all, that you can't be the face of it, you can't answer all the emails, and look at ways that you can start to move your way to it. Because it was really hard for me at first, and I actually mucked it up pretty good by jumping in and like not even letting the new people who were building the relationships and helping. And I still struggle with that, being sometimes quiet when there's a problem with the project. I still get brought in, just like bringing in a manager when there's something wrong with the food at a restaurant. but supporting the rest of your team to allow them to grow, to give them autonomy. So when it's tough when you're the person who did it all and then you're trying to be the person who does none of it, and it doesn't obviously just flip like that. It's a lot of steps in between, but I'm somewhere in the middle now.
That's come up quite a bit, actually. We've had several guests mention that they had trouble stepping back and letting
for sure,
putting trust in their team members to be able to do their jobs properly.
It's one of the most common things in any business in growth, and it's why a lot of companies don't grow. There are some, there's some good books out there. We're integrating EOS into so Entrepreneur Operating System. Their main book is Traction. There's other similar ones like Scaling Up or other ones that people kind of operate on. And then of course there's lots of different books out there, built to sell, Plan to Win, those types of things. And they will tell you a lot of the times it's the lead, it's the owner, the person who often the founder, the CEO, who actually is one of the biggest challenges or blocks to really letting a business grow. I call it like pulling frozen fish out of the freezer. Like if you ever watch those like Kitchen Nightmares, where Gordon Ramsay comes in and he changes the whole menu, and there's often frozen fish, and he's like, we're not doing that anymore. And if the owner is the chef or like in the back of the house in any kind of way, there's always this moment where he freaks out or she freaks out and she goes into the back and pulls out frozen fish. Of course they leave the frozen fish there, so they do that. But like, it's that panic into like, when we built Process, when we had to get stuff out of my own head because I couldn't be the only one doing it. And then all of a sudden, things are happening without me. I would jump in and change stuff very late in a video, or I would jump in and say that we can do something for a client that I didn't know there was context before, that they were either being very difficult or something had already been promised. And that idea of thinking you're the only one who can do the thing that you do or that you like is just it's an ego issue, and it's acting like there's no one else in the world who can do the same thing that you do because you're so special and so lovely and your mom hugged you a lot. I don't know why I went there on that. My mom. Wait, this is going to turn into a psychological or a therapeutic thing. My mom didn't hug me a lot. I've been trying to prove myself ever since.
We're Dr. Melfi right now.
There you go.
Yeah. It's like, why do you feel that way today?
We're not recording this, right? This is this is a test drive. Yeah.
We're definitely not 30 minutes into a talk.
No,
30-minute test call.
Good to know. I have a lot to get off my chest right now. No,
there's something to like relinquishing control of certain aspects of the business, and like it's something that we noticed that's worked for us as well, because like in the beginning, Dario and I, we basically, like, granted, when we first started in the industry, we didn't know a lot about the industry, so a lot of what we were doing was more so us trying to kind of learn the ropes as we went. But essentially we were basically doing every task together. We did that for a number of years just to kind of get an understanding of like what the industry is like. But we also noticed like how much time and how much time could potentially be wasted by doing that. It's like, all right, we both look at all the emails, we look at all the briefs, we look at all the calls, we're on every single client call, we're on every single production call, pre-production, post-production. Who has the time to do all that? And as a result, it's like basically two people doing one job, essentially.
That's right.
That's kind of like how you have to look at it. So once we started figuring out what each of our strengths were, and we split up a lot of the tasks and responsibilities, we noticed a huge surge in productivity as a result. Like, Dario is now able to be on a hell of a lot more sales calls and lead generation calls than
Doug,
me.
I hear you clicking.
He's not listening.
Not listening.
I realized that I don't have my do not disturb on, so I was getting a phone call and it was messing with my headphones.
You got your mic right next to the keyboard. All I heard was click. Click.
It's like a good. It's like a good foot and a half away. This is a good microphone. Wow,
he's disturbed by the do not disturb.
I turned on do not disturb. It was the phone was like trying to like steal my headphones, and it was like a spam call from Georgia. So I'm like, okay, got to turn that off. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I'm back.
We should actually answer one of those spam calls if it actually happens on an episode,
like,
and just be like,
finally you're here. How are you going to help me, please?
It's going to be one of two things. It's going to be two things, either the Chinese people or the air duct Indians. It's one of those two always.
Yeah, it's always one or the other.
Well,
But yeah, as I was saying, Dario now has a lot more capacity to handle more sales calls in like a higher volume, and he's focused on that, and he's gotten really good at that. Whereas I'm able to manage more creative projects and like client projects, you know, get them through from pre-production to post, and just manage that entire process with the creatives. And this way, we're able to handle a higher volume of work to come through, thus generating more revenue and profits for the business. So figuring out who to relinquish those certain responsibilities can help maximize your time.
It's the idea. Yeah, I mean, we still run into those problems as we grow, right? And whether that's me or even it's like it hasn't been clarified, there's definitely times when we have 3, sometimes 4 people on a discovery call, and it's like, well, okay, maybe we have someone taking notes. Maybe we have someone who's going to need the information, and I'm talking. So there are times for it. We don't need to do one person at all the time, but what we do need is, and we just rolled it out again because it's an ongoing thing, is accountability. So you need to know every person should be responsible for, or every role should have one person who's responsible for it. So, or at least that's what we do in the sense of, you know, who's in charge of invoicing, who's in charge of sales calls, who's in charge of, you know, all of those things. And it doesn't even mean that you have to do them on your own. It just means that you're responsible for them. So when there is, you know, it would still get to that, like, wait, who's doing what right now? And who's like, hey, are you calling them or am I? Well, whose responsibility is it? And you can start there. So it's not either you're both doing it and grabbing the baton, or you both drop the baton, which is even worse. And so we have to continuously redefine that, look at that, and even remind ourselves, kind of some feels almost cold, like when, you know, someone on our team will be like, hey, are you doing that thing? And the other person will go, it's not my accountability. Do you need me to do it? I'm happy to do it, but it's your responsibility to do it. Do you need help with it? And by the way, that goes like always, that comes back to me often, where it's like, it's your responsibility, Doug. And I'll go, right, thank you. Okay. And then I can still delegate if I need to, but you know, when we go, why didn't this thing happen? Then we should be able to know at least, and it's not throwing blame, but someone's at least to know, like, oh, okay, sorry, that's something I should have done. And it's the only way that you can grow, because you become, the two-headed dragon issue. I mean, again, I've had this happen on numerous occasions, and we just had to redefine it again, where, you know, you want, out of just an urge to do the best, and even to be like, hey, yeah, when we get a whole bunch of people on the call, it shows our intention and our might and our enthusiasm, and then you realize, like, oh, wow, this is very inefficient, because we're already, you know, especially when, hey, if there's nothing else to do, great, but then you have a bigger problem. When everyone's already super busy. And one way to even look at it is, and I saw actually a really good example of this this is more for internal meetings, is actually looking at every person's hourly rate and going, great. So if we put, let's say, 3 people on this call and everyone's rate is, let's say it's $30 or $50 an hour or whatever, this meeting that we don't think is actually costing us anything is actually costing us $150 or $250. Or I saw the examples like $600. This meeting's a $600 meeting. Do we want to have all these people, or do we even want to have this meeting? And so I love that idea, but it's like, how do we and by doing that, you have to have a good process, because you need to know if you guys are splitting off and we're all doing our own thing. Well, how are we making sure that thing is being done and it's following through the process and the inputs and outputs? Because then the other problem that can happen is you turn into these little islands of things happening and you don't even know what each other is doing, and that can be problematic as well. So then you need, communication is another issue as well, right? Where you're not over communicating, you're not under communicating, all those types of things. And it can be overwhelming, and it can be frustrating and stressful, but getting to the other side of it. And I was someone who never really understood the value of process until, and had a few people who really try to drive it into me. And I'm like, whatever, we're creatives, we do, come on, it's supposed to be fly by the seat of your pants. Now that we're on the other side of it, even when we're busy, we know what needs to be done and we know how to handle it. And we, like, when this summer was so busy for us, and I'm not boasting, it was too busy. Like, that's not a good thing. However, we had basically nothing go significantly wrong and flagged everything the moment it happened. And that was through some meeting cadences that we have. We have our key people who meet for an hour and a half on every Monday, and our entire team meets for 10 minutes every morning. And all these things are managed very, very well, I like to think, because when we pulled down all of our clients, and this is not a flex, but it just is that we have at this point 115 projects at some point from the first call to an end of a closing of project in some state of flux. Doesn't mean they're all actually happening. Some are, get frozen, or some are moving slowly, or that kind of stuff. But we have to have that process, and we have to have everyone knowing what they're responsible, and we need to be correcting in the moment when someone is stepping out of their lane. Often me, by the way, and making sure that everyone's doing what they got to do, and that we know who's responsible for what, so we can all move together. So it's been a lot of work to get there, but boy, is it worth it.
Which project management software do you use?
We use Productive.io. And it actually does have a good CRM in it, like not nearly as good as a HubSpot or a Salesforce or anything, but for us, it has just, multi levels of your engagement. And then once it goes in, it does pretty good. It works with QuickBooks. Well, our last one didn't. It has some scheduling. We actually brought scheduling into it. We were using a different scheduler. So for the most part, it works really well for us. Plus, they're not like a massive organization. They've actually taken some of our input and ideas and built it. Nice. So it's worked well. We looked at lots of different ones, including Monday, and like we were used to be on Workamajig, and I think we looked at Asana as well.
That's the one I'm using right now.
Okay, yeah. On that. We actually had not looked at Productive, and one of our colleagues who were in the same building, they run a web wizard, or a web and digital marketing company called Web Wizard. Sorry. Chad kind of reached out. He's like, "You guys are looking for one, right? We just integrated this like a month ago," and so he helped walk us through it. Gave us a very good demo of it, and yeah, it's been really good for us.
Why did you not choose to go with Asana? I'm just curious, because I'm like 2 weeks into it, and I'm having like the time of my life.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, we just basically chose about 5 different ones, and I was not part of the vetting process. So we actually had Colin, my executive producer, our creative operations. He was an account manager at the time, sorry, but and our creative operations manager, who is no longer with us, and I think one other person, and they got on calls with everyone. They did pros and cons, like a big sheet was given to us looking at cost, all that kind of stuff. Not to disparage any of them. And a lot of it was like, it really was down to very small things. It just came into like, hey, and we had enough pain points on the last one we were on that we knew what we wanted to solve. So we had kind of set some big priorities on like, here's the functionality we want to make sure we have. And so when we looked at those pros and cons, there were some that's just like, it's great, but I think we would rather go with this because it serves us just a little bit better. Scheduling was a big part. We really want to be able to schedule, even though actually we didn't bring it in for a while, we were using Float. We wanted the ability not to just see people's timelines. We wanted to be able to flip it and have project timelines and allow to scale them really easily because they move so much. So many of these are like, you have to manually input when a schedule changes and it doesn't necessarily flex. I think that's becoming more of a common feature, but just a couple of years ago it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I think when it comes to these types of softwares and everything, it all comes down to preferences a lot of the time. It's like camera gear,
Yeah.
Everyone, a lot of them are performing the same function. They're all relatively in the same level of quality, if not major differences. Sometimes it's just personal preferences, ergonomics, file types, X, Y, and Z.
Company size being a big part of it too. Like if we're managing the inputs and outputs of a whole bunch of people, we need to be tracking time, we need to track profit. If you're dealing with either bigger projects and smaller crews or smaller amounts of people, like then you might not need that. Actually, we were coming from one that was just too robust. It had too much functionality. It wasn't very user friendly, but it was just like too many features. We didn't need all of them, and it made it very, very confusing. We needed something a little more streamlined. And so, I know a very close colleague uses Monday. They love it. It's great. It's for their digital marketing company. They swear by it. Again, to each their own.
So what's next for you then? Like you're in the process of strengthening your processes for your company. Like you have like a solid team of 15 or so people. What do you wanna
Actually,
do
one
next?
thing I want to highlight for him, I've noticed, is that someone's become a little bit of a public speaker. I've seen a little bit
Yeah,
in
yeah, on
the
LinkedIn.
space. I also
Yeah.
saw what you're traveling to Europe later this year, or
Yeah.
did you already go there for this
No,
conference?
I go in under a month. Oh shit, I got to prepare for it. I yeah. So I can answer both questions. The public speaking one is something that, I mean, the story that I tell, and I'll do a very abridged version, is I used to be a musician. I love performing, and I also love helping. So I think there's another life where I wanted to be a teacher. My mom's a teacher. I love being able to learn and then being able to impart that learning to other people. So I've been doing it actually. It kind of just organically happened with what we learned in storytelling. And so learning the science of storytelling, I started having clients ask me to kind of teach some of that to internal teams. It actually started with a large bus company and wanting to teach their entire sales team the science of storytelling, and that kind of then turned into me getting referred to some other places, and then I'm like, this could be something, this could be a lot of fun. So I do it for a couple of reasons. A is I enjoy doing it, and it's really great for me in general for being more and more comfortable with it. As a result, that tends to drive business. So we've had one company that I did storytelling, 2 days of storytelling with their organization, and the director of marketing moved to another place and basically said, we're working with Doug and Tripwire on the videos that we need to make because they know storytelling. And we did not have to pitch, we did not have to compete, and we got one of the larger contracts we've had. So, there's a little bit, like a lot of it's relationship building, a lot of it is also positioning yourself as a leader in the subject matter that you want to be. And so when, if it would be the same way that I think if I started doing public speaking on like technology, if we were really trying to camera technology, if I was trying to build, for instance, like what Shane Hurlbut's doing, which is more of a training thing. In my case, I really like being able to help clients because so many people come to us going like, we know we need to tell our story, we don't know how. So that's where I kind of, anytime I can help, I kind of pop in there. And so I've even gotten to a point where I've been trying stand-up comedy to learn how to.
I was gonna say, yeah. Like, how was that experience? I saw you made a post about your first stand-up routine. I was like, okay, I gotta talk to
Give
him
us a
about
little
this.
taste. What's your?
It wasn't.
Go.
It wasn't my very first. I tried it last year. It was like, even though I've spoken in front of hundreds of people, I've played music. I've, in front of a couple thousand before. This, like, doing it last year is this competition at a local comedy bar, and I felt like the first time I'd ever gotten on stage, like I was about to throw up before, and so it was a good exercise. I've been a fan of stand-up comedy since I was like 13, watching Evening at the Improv on a small TV in my attic, and so that was part of like a bit of a life like long getting a monkey off my back trying it. But I tried again this year, and I actually moved through the first round, and I got to the second round. I got second place, so I didn't move to the final because they only got first place in. But that was really great for me, and what it's helped me do is, on stage, I still like the ability to be able to improv a little more. I want to be able to tell jokes a little bit more because that's really helpful for memory recall and connection and engagement. When you're talking about scientific stuff, you want to make it fun. It doesn't have to be all serious, and so it's just helping add tools to my tool belt of how to be a more engaging speaker and how to just build better connections and help people at a more grander scale. And so that's why I'm going to Lisbon, where I got accepted to the it's called the Global Speakers Academy, and I'm basically training for 5 days on how to up my game and my overall my speaking, I guess, what do they call it? It's like not a set, but like I would actually have, a, like so many public speakers do, like they're kind of really written and organized set versus more of a workshop. So this would be the ability to really have something more structured. I might write a book as a result. And all of this, again, is just to further my knowledge and my capabilities in the world of storytelling, as well as then being able to just grow my personal abilities, as well as hopefully, it comes back to Tripwire as well. So, or that's definitely the plan. So that's kind of the evolution of that. Is kind of crazy how it has evolved like that. But I find it, it's a really great balance, and it's scary. It is something that, even though I love to perform, I'm not super, super comfortable on stage. Although some people say that I come off that way. I think I stutter and I'm just a nervous wreck, but maybe I just don't show it on the outside.
You're developing, you're doing self-development, you're growing, you're improving your skills. And that is one thing people need to remember to keep doing when they're running a business is like, you could do a lot of things for the business, but sometimes you got to make time to grow your skill, your knowledge base, try something new, learn something new, because how you go about doing that, the experience you will gain from doing that, you can bring it to the business. Like when you think about any business that you start, you don't just start it out of nowhere with no experience whatsoever. You have, like, what makes your business yours is also like comes from the experiences that you have and your particular knowledge and skill set, right? The way you started your business is very different from the way that we started our business. Sure, we all make videos, but we all do it differently. Like, certain same elements. We all hit the record button on a camera. We all have a light or two here and there, and we ask a couple questions, but there's a different side to it. There's a different personality behind the business. And the key is to keep fostering and growing that, because it's like, there's nothing worse than being stagnant with the business. I find that sometimes when I feel like if the business has become a little bit stagnant, it's like, okay, I think Dario and I have not personally developed as well at the same time. It's not just the business. It's like, what can we also be doing to learn and expand more?
I found in my time that anytime I get bored with the business, it's usually because I'm not learning. It's that I'm not growing, and you can grow financially, but if you're just like, it's the same old thing, and that, that's how we brought in, like, the science of storytelling through Muse storytelling, where it's just like, I feel like I'm making the same thing every time. I'm not learning anything from this. Oh, you mean like, don't just show up and shoot and just put something together, or don't, having a structure when a client comes and tells you they need something, to be able to help them actually do something better, or to understand the why and the goal and the audience, all those types of things. That was one step. Well, this is kind of the next one for me. And I think, to your point there, it's like, it doesn't have to be one or the other. And because you should be bettering yourself and also getting some fun out of this. Like, we work our asses off, that you should be able to get some perks and things that maybe you wouldn't get if you weren't doing this, running, being an entrepreneur, right? You should be able to reward yourself. It doesn't have to always be in the form of dividends or money or things that, it could be in things that help grow you, that should then actually reflect well on your company. So it's not just like you taking money out, it's you investing in yourself. But I could do something online, absolutely, and I'll see if, like, hopefully I don't take the financial hit too much and all the travel and stuff like that going to Lisbon. But, like, at the end of the day, I think you have to remind yourself that you're worth it, and that you do deserve it for all the hard work that you do. You need to treat yourself, because if you're just gonna, like, keep tight on everything and just go, hey, we can't afford it, or we, everything needs to be, like, at the lowest expense, you're just going to burn out. You're going to become resentful. And so you need to find those ways to reward yourself. And I think the best way is if you can reward yourself, that helps you then bring you back to the company more valuable in what you can offer. So that's kind of the way I think it comes full circle, and it helps kind of justify you doing things like this, because sometimes it's hard to justify that. And I have a business partner, and every time I explain to him, hey, here's what I want to do, he's like, does it help the company? Does it help you? And I'm like, yep. He's like, go for it, man, do it. Yep. So that's those things are really, really important, and it's not either a splurge or just fully educational. It's a little bit of both, and so that helps me feel better about it, especially when I have to tell the rest of the group that I'm doing it. I'm like, hey, this money I'm spending on me. I'm going to Lisbon. Bye, guys. Let me know how the videos go. It's like, no, like, I'm doing this for us. Yeah. And this should then add to the security of the company, and also the happiness of me, which is very important. It's
also important to remember to also document and showcase that personal growth and development. I think that is also something to think to yourself. Is this something that I would like to promote on the business's social channels. It's like, hey, like we're just invested in learning this type of new technique and stuff, like, or like one of our key team members is like really dived into this, and this is what they've learned by doing this. You know, it's like, if like I'm starting to think that could be like a good criteria to think is like, how, if this is going to be helpful for the business, would this be something that you would want to kind of create content and document and promote? Or like you, for example, you're going to Lisbon to learn about like to public speaking and stuff like that. So it's like, hey, like you're promoting it on LinkedIn, that we saw it, you know, and so your clients are seeing this too, and they're seeing the different aspects that the people of Tripwire are trying to do to grow the business, because they know ultimately they're doing it for the clients and for the projects that they're going to produce for them. It's
why I promote it. It's why actually I don't like, even though some friends will laugh if I say I'm not like, you know, I don't like to talk about myself. I don't like to publicly talk about myself. If I'm in a group, I'll talk about myself all day. But like, I feel weird going like, "Hey guys, look what I did." But
I know
the engagement that I get when I'm kind of talking about things that I'm doing that have any kind of like connection, like. You guys aren't the first ones to go like, hey, what? You're doing this GSA thing? That's amazing. And I'm like, great, this conversation starter. It does also show that you're trying to continuously better yourself. And then this is also when you're sharing things that are a little bit authentic, they don't feel too fake or too braggadocious, that people connect in that. And so it is all marketing. Like we actually will put this in our marketing budget, this GSA thing, as well as maybe like learning and education. It could be considered sales. I'm going to meet 50 people or 40 people, from around the world who are like-minded in different kind of organizations and worlds. Like you're going to build this network. Like all this should come back for the money that I'm spending. I should be able to make this back, I would say, in a year's time quite easily if I really put my mind to it and I action the things that I learned from it. So it's an investment as well. So all those things. And then, if you're not telling anyone, I mean, there's just this opportunity when it reminds me when someone like had first started out on their own and they had a demo reel, and I'd seen it online. This is a while ago, and he comes back a few months later, and I'm like, how's it going, man? He's like, it's tough to get any business. I'm like, well, you putting your demo out there? Like you putting yourself out there? And he's like, well, I don't want to advertise myself. I'm like, buddy, like if you aren't, no one else will. And you're going to make it real hard for yourself. So you have to get over it. And I have to get over being like real, like, you know, again, like I'm pretty self-deprecating. So for me to be like, hey, everyone, look what I'm doing, it feels weird. But this is actually very strange. It is easily the most engagement I have gotten in all of my LinkedIn posts. It was something like 6,000 impressions. I think the most I've ever gotten is 2,000 on anything else of actual substance. Maybe LinkedIn rewards people bragging because I think that's all. There's way too much of it anyways. But I just also got a lot of congratulations, a lot of support, people saying that I'll be really good at that. And so you're creating these engagements, these relationships, and maybe it's not going to be specifically right after like, oh, you're going to GSA, we should do a video. But it's going to be like, oh, tell me more about this, and you're continuing a conversation. And down the road, someone's hopefully then of those people are going to go, let's work with Doug on this thing because it seems like his head's in the right space.
We had a client who is a motivational speaker, and I got to say, if you're ever going to pivot, Doug, that is a very juicy career to get into.
Lucrative.
The amount of money that guy was making per time. I swear to God, Kyrill and I looked at each other. We're like, we're not charging this guy enough.
I know a few of them, and I know what they charge. It's become a very highly competitive market. But those who you have a best-selling book, and you start to really get some gigs out there. Like it's pretty crazy what an hour of a rehearsed written presentation will get you. It's pretty wild. I mean, hey, that also could be a great benefit if I can actually really go forward on that. I have to figure out what my book would be about. I can't tell you. I have an idea. I'll tell you guys offline.
Listen, I saw what they wrote. It was very basic.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just the way it's
looking
packaged.
at it going like, oh my God, this is so simple. Like we could do this.
There's a good double episode. Yeah, not to talk about another podcast on your guys' podcast, which is awesome. I know. Two Bobs has, I think, two episodes about writing your own book and what you should and shouldn't do. But nowadays it's kind of like this, like, entry level thing that you have to do. In fact, I think signing up for this thing before getting accepted, they're like, so have you written a book or are you writing a book? Like those were your two options. It wasn't like
you're in the process.
There wasn't a third one. It's like, I guess I'm writing a book. All right.
Well, it's like, what are you going to sell there? What are you going to sell there otherwise, right? Because that's like one of the quickest things to actually sell at these events. Like usually when you're speaking, you're pushing people to. There's a call to action usually, right? You know, and the speaker's call to action is buy my book. You want to learn more.
It's a credibility. It's also a credibility to it.
That's the
actually.
thing,
I created an entire course. I taught for a year at my alma. What is it? Alma mater.
Alma mater.
Thank you. And it was digital media entrepreneurship. And so actually I almost made that course and I actually kind of joked that all it was cautionary tales of what not to do rather than what to do. That could be a book, right? It could be like, here's, you know, the things that you've learned. I could take the processes that we've done with Tripwire. I can take the combined knowledge that I've learned from multiple different areas on storytelling and talk through that from a video perspective. There's lots of different ways that I could go about it. So yeah, it's but it is kind of interesting, overwhelming, and daunting, the idea of it. But nowadays, it doesn't even have to be that big a book. You need to write something of substance, but it doesn't have to be like a 300-pager.
They're getting thinner. I've noticed a lot of like people who have written books and like they went from like 400 to 300 to 200.
It's because ChatGPT can only reply so much, Kyrill.
Yeah. Well, it's just like honestly, like who reads through? Like I've read enough of these, enough of really actually very helpful books, and by the time you get about halfway through it, you're like, I think I got it. Like there's just a lot of anecdotes
Fluff.
Or kind of like they're definitely fluffing it out. I will
it's
actually
not backed by anything either. Like a lot of the times it's just personal experience that they're going on. So you're like, this is not scientific. Like
unless you're looking for like a
where
perspective
they have like the science behind it and say, no, this is backed by data and everything. A lot of times just like, oh, this is what I did.
Yeah.
But then again, guys, like we're also having this podcast where a lot of people share how they started their businesses, what worked for them. Doesn't mean it's gonna work for everyone else.
No, but
here,
it's the way it's pitched, Kyrill. Because a lot of these books,
the
way they pitch it is like, follow it and you will be successful.
Yeah,
just follow these steps.
Yeah.
Our thing is just like we're just having conversations. It's up to you to take what you want out of it.
It's a lot of it can be snake oil. There's some really great ones, and they do actually back with science. There is a great one of the books I've only gone all the way through that isn't like, you know, highly like kind of like educational, but it feels a little more like one of the pseudoscience books, but it's actually rooted totally in psychology, totally in years and years of studying. Is something called the happiness advantage, and it's just the idea. It's all these ways that you can be a happier person and you actually become more successful by being happy. And at first it sounds very like, you know, the secret or something that is very just like, you know, theoretical.
If you think it will come.
Yeah, exactly. But there is something in that. There is something in manifesting things, because you're actually like you're getting your brain to focus on those things. Your brain can only focus on so many things. All this kind of stuff. So it's one of the only books I've gone through all the way word for word, and I actually kind of want to read it again because I think I need to refresh it. But if you're ever looking at ways to just, you know, if you struggle like so many other people do as entrepreneurs, and one of the challenging things as an owner and as an entrepreneur is that our jobs are actually to focus on the bad, to find what's not working. And as a result, like a lot of entrepreneurs get depressed, whether it's because their companies aren't working or it's really hard. So if there's ways to help you hack your brain into finding the good, because I've had to do that through fit therapy, meditation, reading books, all that kind of stuff. I can come off very happy here, but man, what goes on in this brain sometimes in the early mornings when you're just, again, on sales, like nobody likes me. And it can get a little dark there. See, this is the therapy session we're doing, right? You guys still aren't recording, right?
Exactly. This is our ongoing unrecorded
You mentioned the
therapy
mother.
session.
He's depressed now. He's Tony Soprano. I'm telling you.
And he overshares. Yeah.
There's a thing that it says here, for example, where it's like how a positive brain fuels success in work and life. That's its whole motto. And you know, it's interesting you're mentioning about how you have to try to keep positive, especially in our industry where it can get very pessimistic. And we've all seen it firsthand how people in the industry can get very pessimistic and very negative about the work in the industry that they're in. And once they start doing that, you see the business decline. Like you actually can see it decline from the sidelines. And it's a shame because it's like, oh, if only they did this, they would be doing really well. Or
we've seen it twice where they basically ended up closing the business.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention names, but Kyrill, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Like we've seen it happen.
I've seen companies that it's the ones that are really super competitive, or there was one that they're not around, haven't been for a while, that I found out they actually had, for whatever reason, because I don't know really how you compete in the sense of like, there was a hit list on a whiteboard of just like the video production companies that they wanted to quote unquote beat. I'm not sure how you beat them aside from
Google. I'll tell you what it meant. On Google, they wanted to move Google, up.
Right?
Sure. Anyways, we found out we were at the top of the list, and so that was actually very flattering. But there is this like, I'll go online and I will admit, like, we all have like kind of there's just times where, because you're so competitive with yourself, you're trying to do your best, and then you see, say, another colleague, call it a competitor or another person in your market that are doing work that looks great, or maybe is with a client you used to work with or one that you wanted to work with. And my immediate, like my guttural reaction at first internally is like, "Oh, why'd they get it?" And then I realize I'm like, this is not a way to be happy. Like you can't succeed by just looking over your shoulder at what other people are doing and comparing in that sense. So what actually I usually do is then I have to like kind of reframe, and actually I'll often celebrate them publicly and just write like, hey, this is amazing. And because it is, they've done a really good job. They're doing the same thing we're trying to do. They're trying to do their best work. And then if I do decide to share it with the team, it's not like, look at what these guys are doing. How are they doing this? It's like, hey guys, I really like their use of light in here. This makes me think of like something we could do, blah, blah, blah. And I'm pulling inspiration and trying to make ourselves better, because that's the only way we are, is we just learn from other people and inspiration. Whether it's from someone in New York or it's someone who's a block away from us, we shouldn't have to treat it differently. But I definitely do fight. There's a while I wouldn't watch documentaries, really good documentaries on Netflix, because I felt like, I'm like, why can't we do this? I'm like, that's a terrible frame of mind. So you have to exercise perspective and find the good. I try to write down gratitude for the things that we do have, because rather than focusing on the things we don't, you don't want to be just someone who's happy with whatever on the other side, happy-go-lucky. You need that drive, that competition in you to, I heard this from like a CEO of actually a pretty big car manufacturer, and he's like, the best CEOs are the ones who are never happy with themselves, because they always continue to improve. And I'm like, that is true and wildly depressing. Because that means you can never be happy. So it's like, well, what's the point? So trying to find that balance, and again, I'll still have more of those moments, and then I'll try to reframe them. I'll allow for them to be, I'll allow for that moment to, not just deny myself to say, hey, yeah, you're going to feel jealous, you're going to feel insignificant, but then you need to reframe that, because if you're just going to go down that hill, yeah, you're right. Like, it's just you're going to compete for the wrong reasons, you're going to do the wrong stuff, you're going to be terrible to be around, and you're not going to grow. And you're going to get petty as well. I have to fight that as well. But
the pettiness is like the thing you have to always make sure you're not, you're not catching yourself doing, or catch yourself.
That type of mindset comes from the fact that you see someone doing something that it comes from the fact that it's showing you that it is possible to achieve those goals. Yeah. So hating on it gives you an excuse for not achieving them, Yeah. Because I find that in the past we kind of had that, but it was because... But we dropped it quickly, because we realized, hey, you know what? We're not giving it our full attention or our all, right? So once we started doing that, we started seeing better results.
Yeah. It also, like, it's a good reminder, like, sometimes you also look at someone's stuff and you just go like, hey, that's really good. I wish we could do something as good as that. And you actually have to, like, look back at your own stuff. I remember sometimes if I felt a little down on the work, or felt that we need to do better in certain areas, and I would actually look back at the work we've done. I'm like, actually, no, I'm really proud of the work we've done, and actually, this is just as good, or maybe it's better, or whatever. It's all subjective. It's art, right? Yeah. But you have to kind of remind yourself of the great work you have done, and again, just finding that balance. It's the drive, but not letting it drive you into the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it like especially places like Instagram where people are constantly flexing and showing off all their work.
Their best
you
work.
can
LinkedIn.
easily their best work. Yeah, you could really get into that downward spiral
yeah.
of seeing the greatest, the best work from people. Is like, oh, I am having such a great life doing this, doing that, meeting this person, meeting that person. But then you don't know what the backstory is of like, oh, like, are they actually keeping busy? Was that just one project that they had?
Yeah.
Like, everyone's circumstances are different. And it's like, I think everyone is trying to kind of romanticize their situation to everyone else. And then sometimes people do get into that thing where it's like, not that you're jealous more so, but it's like exactly what you described, where you're kind of like feeling like, oh, why am I not at getting to that level? You know, like this, I'm clearly not good enough. Like you can easily go down that spiral. And the key thing is to catch yourself. I like what you do, which is celebrate it, especially if it's people you know. I think that's a good aspect to look at it. One thing I like to do is like, all right, if this is something I feel like I could have done, what could I learn from this? Or why have we not done this? And like Dario mentioned, like the one thing that helps easily clear us of that is the knowledge is that, okay, well, we haven't done anything to try to get to that. And when you have that mindset, it's like, all right, it's not about the fact that it's not about external factors. It's putting the responsibility on you. You know, like a lot of people try to kind of like put the responsibility on something else.
Yeah,
It's like, oh,
exactly.
It went off. The only reason we didn't get this is because they
External
charged less
factors.
money. External factors is just because they did this, the client did this. And it's like sometimes a lot of that is a little bit true, but you can't completely dismiss yourself from responsibility. Ultimately, if you're not doing the type of work you want to be doing, it's all on you at that point, right? And like if you're gonna want to do those kinds of projects, you have to figure out a way to make it happen. And that's something that we always keep in the back of our minds. And then it's like, if we really want to start doing that work, are we ready to do it? Let's do it, or whatever, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean,
The
it could
leader
be like
bears responsibility at the end of the day. It's always going
That's
to be
right.
your fault. Things are going bad, and it is going to be your fault if things go well as well, right? So
It goes both ways.
I feel like you can't grow even as a business owner if you're all willing to accept that. Because imagine you start growing, adding employees, and then what? You're going to blame them for problems that at the end of the day are yours? Like, it doesn't make sense. That's why businesses like that fail at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you're talking to a client, and if one of your crew members makes a mistake, you know, one of them didn't hit record, knock on wood for our team members.
Oh, you jinxed us, Kyrill. I got to knock on wood too now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody knock on wood. If a mistake happens in the business, you're the one ultimately responsible for it in the client's eyes. How is it going to look to the client if you just try to throw one of your team members under the bus? It's like, this person's a shitty leader. You know, I would much rather someone where they're like, we're so sorry about that. We made a mistake. This is what we'll do to rectify it. Don't worry. We will adjust it, right? Like things happen, you know, like mistakes happen. And then if you fix it, the clients will be grateful for that, because then they understand that you can recognize when a mistake has happened. You're able to own up to it, which a lot of the time that's what people want. People want people to just simply take responsibility and own up to their mistakes, which nobody does these days, I feel. You know, like a lot of people don't do it.
There's such an opportunity when you make a mistake to actually better a relationship, because if you own it quickly, and you give them a plan on what you're going to do, and what you're going to do might be just like fixing it, getting on top of it, still getting it to deadline. Maybe it's a discount, maybe whatever, and even just checking in with them. Then they're going to appreciate that. And I always think way more than you trying to go like, oh, this guy really screwed up, or it's not our fault, and like you guys actually, well, we maybe did this, but you guys did this. Like taking ownership and accountability, even when it's not personally, physically your fault, going like, well, they work for me, so I take accountability because it goes up. There's a lot of character in that, and so we try to do that at all times. We don't want to over apologize. I get guilty of that sometimes, where I'll just take the blame on something we truly didn't do. But it's also like there's no winning in being right. We are filmmakers, yes. We are in customer service, though, and I had a few people on my team who didn't really see the same as me, and we then very much didn't agree on the things like if the client was late on a delivery. Well, we had people on our team, well, they've lost their calendar, they've lost their schedule. Well, no, we can't do that, because often the person that we're dealing with is not the one who's actually at fault for the thing happening. Our job is then to try and save or get it back on track. If we can't, then we'll talk to them about it. But and we have enough of a process now that we talk about, like, here's what happens if you miss deadlines and stuff like that. Like, we'll try and help, but after a certain point we can't. But like, our job is to save the day whenever we can, because we're in customer service. We are not just filmmakers. Because if we just said, sorry, you lost your deadline, well, our person on the other side is now caught in a very awkward position because they're not able to deliver in whatever reason. And being right is not going to help us at all, because even if they're like, yeah, well, technically we missed our deadline on that and then you didn't deliver and I got in a lot of trouble, or we weren't able to meet our goals, they're not going to be like, so are we going to work again on the next one? It's like, well, no, they're going to find someone who can help. So absolutely. And to that point, actually, like, we were in a real tough place last year, and actually my business partner, who owns a digital marketing company, got on a call with me, and he said exactly what you said, Dario, which was like, it is your fault that you're in this position. It's your fault, or it's your success when you are also when you are doing really well. So take credit for that. But it is your fault, and when you're in a bad space, or when you screwed up, you hired the wrong person or whatever, or your sales are terrible. The freedom in that is that you have control, versus like acting like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. So then it is for you then to dig out. So it's actually kind of a freeing thing. I remember one person telling me at NAB, it's like, hey, you hire a sound person, let's say for $250, and it's their second time, and then they don't record, or they screw up, or they mess up with an interview, for instance, versus the $500 person that you know for sure is going to do it. Well, at the end of the day, was it worth saving that $250 to put the entire project at risk? Well, if that screw up happens, that's your fault. You were being cheap. So those types of things are worth considering, even though we're always looking at the bottom line and all that kind of stuff. Super fun, hey?
But what people also need to remember, it's like, when the one big benefit of you fixing a mistake that you made with a client is that, one, you're going to be building loyalty with them in the future, 100%. And you're also giving them, which is the biggest thing, peace of mind in future projects. Because when you're working with someone, sometimes, like, especially someone new, you're always like trying to anticipate where a fuck up or a mistake might happen, right? And you're waiting for it to happen. You want to know how they're going to handle that, how they're going to push past it, right? Because then up until that point, you're kind of like, all right, they're doing good work, but like, you don't have always the peace of mind, right? Like this is how I feel sometimes when we're bringing on new editors or new shooters. We're just trying to kind of like feel them out with like some smaller projects so that we can kind of understand their workflow, their whole process. And with clients, if you make a mistake and then you fix it, you've now given that client peace of mind on future projects, where it's like, hey, if a mistake happens, Doug is going to figure it out. Doug will figure it out. He will solve it. I don't have to worry, because mistakes happen. And sometimes clients, when mistakes happen, they feel like they're always going to be the responsible ones to kind of figure it out. It's like, no, you're supposed to be that next point of contact that can help alleviate those challenges, solve that problem. Like, you usually do that when it's like external factors, but sometimes internal factors happen. You needed to get a video delivered on a certain time. Oh no, your computer crashed. What are you going to do? It's like, okay, I'm going to go bring this person in to help kind of like bring the ball home. If you do that, you're basically helping to generate loyalty because of the peace of mind that you're giving clients. And, that's why owning up to mistakes can be better than not making a mistake at all, honestly.
As I said, there's the opportunity to actually build the relationship, strengthen it.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not too massive a mistake that you're really, really screwed up. And that one, there's obviously different levels.
There's a disclaimer to the I will accept responsibility for the...
Yeah, well, or just like like we didn't show up to our shoot kind of day or something like that. Everyone was ready for you.
That's not a mistake, that's negligence. There's different.
Negligence, that's right.
Mistakes and negligence are different.
Whatever the offset is, and say it is a big mistake, then you better be prepared to own up that mistake in a bigger way than say, hey, we're going to be a half day behind, but I'm here to communicate with you that we are in advance of that. Because like that's a good example, right? A micro mistake. And I see this a lot, like whether it's stuff coming to me or coming to us, and I'm not saying we're perfect in it, but let's say the thing that you need to deliver a V1 cut of something on Thursday by 4:00, and then it doesn't come till like Friday at noon. So you in your mind might go like, well, hey, it's close enough, right? And they got it the next day. They didn't ask for it. But from a customer service perspective, they still might go like, I was just about to email, and also you didn't actually live up to your deadline. Or you actually email them at 4:30 on the Friday or Thursday going, hey, we're running late on this. We're going to get it to you tomorrow. Well, that's not even that great because they might actually be waiting for it so they can send it to someone. So now they have to actually go, oh, sorry, I thought I was getting it now. I'm not. So you either make them look dumb or, incapable, whatever. Versus the day before where we go, hey, we're running late on this. Is this a problem or can we push it to Friday? That's such great customer experience. Most people, 90% of the time, go, oh, yeah, no problem. All good. Or they go like, we're really, really banking on this because we have to show it to these people and we told them we're getting it. Great, we'll work extra hard today to make, we'll do the overtime or whatever. We'll make it work. That is so much better either way that you've given them that communication. We have a rule, and we're pretty good at it by now, is through our process, which is if you have to ask where something is at, then we have failed you. If you need to know, hey, when are we getting this thing or where is it at even? It means that we haven't communicated our schedule properly or that we haven't given it to you. Mind you, we do get the questions and we very politely refer them to the schedule we sent. That happens too. But there's this idea of, tell them what time the 3:00 train is. It's a Disney thing. I got that from Bill O'Reilly actually. Or
that's
Bill
funny.
O'Reilly. Jeez. Not Bill O'Reilly.
We're gonna get canceled now.
Oh my gosh, can we edit this out? I have a picture of him right there, Terry O'Reilly. Oh my gosh, very different person. But he talks about don't be like as per my last email, blah blah blah. So, anyways, all that kind of stuff goes a long way, and you're building fans, and you're building people who will either go to bat for you when maybe a new higher up on their side says, hey, we should maybe look at working with these people instead. Or, we have one client that we've gone through so many different CMOs and boards of directors and all this stuff. And we continue to work with them because their team will go to bat for us. And because of the experience that they had. And they're like, yeah, sure, you could try someone who's a little bit cheaper maybe, but we know we're going to get this done. We know it's going to be good, and we think that's a value. So it also allows us then to also have the right prices because there's always good, in a lot of different companies, there's going to be people, not necessarily them, but they're going to be directed to find better prices or better or at least compare to other companies out there. And when you have a really, really strong working relationship and you're a really good communicator, and even when things go wrong, they fix it, that is worth more than the 20% they might save on another company where there is no guarantee, or maybe they didn't do very well. I always love it when people ask us like, hey, can you we really love your company. We know that we like your process. We think your work is great. These guys are coming in cheaper though. Can you match their price? And I'm like, but you just explained all the reasons why we cost more and why we're more valuable.
Yeah, that's good.
Why would we do that? Then it's and I'm not going to call ourselves some expensive car, but let's say I'm a Honda Pilot. I drive a Honda Pilot, and you want the price of a Civic for it. Well, no, we offer more, so we need to be paid for more. So that the whole value conversation is something else, which is always fun, but. It's just that those are the things that keep business strong.
Chosen Mercedes and Civic.
Yeah.
I know. You went from Honda to Honda, and I'm
the price difference is
Civic and Pilot. I'm in the Honda family. I'm just keeping it within it.
I'm looking at the Civic Hybrid lately, and that thing's almost 50. It's wild.
Yeah, but you're just building relationships. Nothing works better in cold calling and all that kind of biz dev stuff. The best thing that works is people who go to bat for you, the people who refer you, or even you got someone at maybe a lower rung of the company at the beginning and they don't have a lot of sway. Well, they will at the next company that they go to, and they will grow and they'll become marketing directors and CEOs or presidents, and it's just relationships, and it's being good with those relationships that's what gets you, that's what keeps you in business and gets you working with people that you want to. We have people who just swear by working with us, and they will go to bat for us and do testimonials for us and all that kind of stuff. That is the best biz dev for us and ever is when someone comes to me and goes like, I was told that I have to work with you guys because you guys are really great. That's way better than me trying to tell someone that, or just like, hi, do you want to hear about our storytelling process? We do video and blah, 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 blah. It's like, great, fine. But it's when someone's like, no, you need to talk to these guys. They'll help you out. That just like subconsciously or even consciously just sits with you going like, when these guys are swearing by it, then I already know that this will be a good company to work with.
I think,
And on that note,
I was just
we covered everything.
I've been standing up for an hour and 20 minutes. My back hurts. I think it's time to end it.
I was going to stand, and for that exact reason, I can't do that anymore. You would have had me like going down on my my elevating desk and just like, hold on a second. I can't do it. Even with nice comfy shoes, my 45-year-old back won't take it anymore.
I got easy slides and my back is killing me right now.
All right. Well, then
standing
I'll
is
let
actually
you
a
Standing
go.
long periods.
Yeah,
No, but
I hear that.
thank you again, Doug, for coming on. Guys, tripwiremedia.com, at Tripwire Media on socials.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Creatives Grab Coffee. Please make sure to follow and engage with us on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, and your favorite podcast app.
Creatives Grab Coffee is created by Labs Productions, a video production company based in Toronto, Canada.
Creatives Grab Coffee is also sponsored by...
My name is Miran. Welcome to Canada Film Equipment. We are a boutique rental house based in Toronto. We are here to help you guys out with all production sizes. Feel free to contact us to get a quote if you are a production house and you're looking for lighting, camera packages, or lighting and group fan packages. You can see our contact information in the link below. We're more than happy to help you guys out. Make sure you follow and subscribe to creativesgrabcoffee.com. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Matt. Welcome to Audio Process. We are a boutique audio company doing location sound, sound design, post-sound, ADR, Foley. We service equipment. We do all your audio needs here in Toronto. We got you covered. Come on down, audioprocess.ca. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and all of the other internet things to creativesgrabcoffee.com. They'll be waiting for you. I'll be waiting for you, and we're all going to have a real good time.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.